Clara's Wild West Adventure. Chapter 1. The Whispering Winds of Dusty Hollow. In the heart of the Wild West, where the sun painted the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink, lay the small town of Dusty Hollow. This town, cradled between rugged mountains and vast, open plains, was known for its rolling tumbleweeds, the scent of sagebrush, and the thrill of adventure. Among its residents was a spirited young cowgirl named Clara Mae Johnson, who was as brave as she was clever. Clara was the kind of girl who wore her hat tilted just so, with a streak of dirt on her cheek from a day spent riding her trusty horse, Blaze. She had a heart that raced with excitement at the thought of adventure and a mind that twinkled with ideas. Clara was not just another face in Dusty Hollow. She was a dreamer, always seeking the next challenge that would take her beyond the familiar trails of her home. One sunny afternoon, Clara sat on the wooden porch of the general store, sipping a cold root beer and listening to the stories of the townsfolk. Old Man Jenkins, the town's grizzled blacksmith, was recounting tales of the legendary Great Western Rodeo, a competition that attracted the bravest cowboys and cowgirls from miles around. Clara's eyes gleamed with ambition as she listened closely, her fingers tapping rhythmically against the porch railing. "It's the biggest show in the West," Old Man Jenkins exclaimed, his gnarled hands gesturing wildly. "Riders will test their skills in roping, barrel racing, and even bull riding. The winner gets a shiny gold belt buckle and the title of Champion of the West." Clara's heart raced. The title of Champion of the West? It was everything she had ever dreamed about. She envisioned herself riding across the grand arena, the cheers of the crowd ringing in her ears, but a shadow of doubt flickered in her mind. Could she, a girl from a small town, really compete against seasoned cowboys? "Are you going to enter, Clara?" asked Billy, her best friend, who had been perched on the edge of the porch with a curious smile. I don't know," Clara admitted, biting her lip. "What if I'm not good enough? What if I fall flat on my face?" Billy shrugged, his eyes shining with encouragement. "You won the barrel race last summer. Besides, you've got Blaze. You two are a perfect team." Clara's heart swelled with hope. "You're right, Billy. We've trained hard together. I should at least give it a try." With newfound determination, Clara stood up, wiping her hands on her dusty jeans. "I'm going to do it. I'll enter the Great Western Rodeo." The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across Dusty Hollow as Clara and Billy made their way back home, hearts racing with excitement. They discussed strategies, practiced roping with a lasso, and even rehearsed Clara's barrel racing routine in her mind. Chapter 2. The Road to the Rodeo. The days flew by, and soon the much-anticipated day of the rodeo arrived. Clara and Billy packed their bags, filled with everything they would need: rope, water, snacks, and Clara's lucky charm, a small silver star pendant that had belonged to her mother. With Blaze saddled and ready, they set off toward the rodeo grounds, a cloud of dust swirling behind them as they galloped through the open plains. As they rode, Clara's excitement bubbled over. "Look at the mountains, Billy. Aren't they beautiful?" she exclaimed, pointing to the jagged peaks that jutted into the sky. "They sure are," Billy replied, adjusting his cowboy hat against the sun. "But we've got to keep our eyes on the road. We don't want to get lost out here." After several hours of riding, they finally arrived at the rodeo grounds, a bustling hive of activity. Colorful tents flapped in the wind, and the air was filled with the sounds of laughter, the whinnying of horses, and the rhythmic thud of hooves on dirt. Clara's heart raced with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "Whoa, look at all those competitors," Billy said, wide-eyed as he surveyed the scene. Tough-looking cowboys and cowgirls, dressed in chaps and wide-brimmed hats, were preparing their horses, their eyes steely with determination. Clara felt a twinge of anxiety. Would she really be able to compete against such experienced riders? But she quickly shook it off, reminding herself of her training with Blaze. "Let's find out where we need to go," Clara said, taking a deep breath. They approached a large wooden sign that read Competitor Registration. Clara's heart pounded as she signed her name next to the list of events, her hand trembling with excitement. That evening, as the sun began to set, Clara and Billy settled near the campfire with other competitors. They shared stories and laughter, and Clara listened intently to their tales of past rodeos. One of the cowgirls, a fierce-looking rider with bright red hair, caught her attention. "What's your name, little lady?" the cowgirl asked, her voice warm yet strong. "Clara Mae Johnson," Clara replied, trying to sound confident. "I remember you. You won that barrel race last summer, didn't you?" The cowgirl smiled, nudging Clara playfully. "I'm Annie. You're going to do great out there." Annie's encouragement made Clara feel a little more at ease, and as the stars began to twinkle overhead, she found herself dreaming of the competitions that awaited her. Chapter 3. The challenges begin. Morning arrived with a burst of sunlight, and Clara sprang out of her sleeping bag, ready for the day. She and Billy made their way to the arena, the air thick with excitement. The first event was roping, and Clara watched as competitors showcased their skills, expertly lassoing hay bales and even practiced dummies. When her turn arrived, Clara felt the weight of all those eyes on her. She took a deep breath, gripping the lasso tightly in her hand. Blaze stood beside her, sensing her nerves and nudging her reassuringly. "You've got this, Clara. Just remember what we practiced," Billy called, his voice steadying her racing heart. Clara nodded, focusing on the target ahead. With a swift motion, she swung the lasso above her head and released it, the rope flying through the air. To her amazement, it landed perfectly around the dummy's neck. "Yeehaw!" Clara shouted, her confidence soaring as she pulled the rope tight. The crowd cheered, and Clara couldn't help but smile, her heart swelling with pride. The next event was barrel racing, and Clara felt a rush of adrenaline as she mounted Blaze once more. The course was marked with 3 barrels set in a triangular pattern, and the goal was to weave through them as fast as possible without knocking them over. Clara visualized the route in her mind, her heart pounding like a drum. "On your mark, get set," the announcer's voice echoed across the arena. With a loud go, Clara kicked Blaze into a gallop. The world around her blurred as they raced toward the first barrel. Clara urged Blaze on, feeling the wind whip through her hair. She rounded the first barrel, then the second, her heart racing as she headed for the final one. "Faster, Blaze!" she shouted, her voice full of determination. They crossed the finish line, and the crowd erupted into cheers. Clara couldn't believe it. She had done it. As she dismounted, Clara felt a rush of joy and relief. She had faced her fears and given it her all. But the thrill of victory was short-lived as she noticed a commotion on the other side of the arena. Chapter 4. A Call for Help. From a distance, Clara saw a group of cowboys gathered, their voices rising in urgency. She nudged Billy. "What's going on over there?" Before he could respond, Clara made her way toward the crowd, her curiosity piqued. As she pushed through the throng of spectators, she caught sight of a commotion. One of the horses had thrown its rider and was now rearing up, wild and panicked. "That's not just any horse," a nearby cowboy exclaimed, his face pale. "That's Black Shadow, the fastest stallion in the West." Clara's heart raced. Black Shadow had a reputation for being fierce. He was untamed and unpredictable. The rider, a young cowboy named Jake, was trying to calm the horse, but it was clear that Black Shadow was frightened and ready to bolt. Without thinking, Clara stepped forward. "I can help," she called out, surprising even herself. She had never worked with such a wild horse, but she felt a deep instinct to try. "Are you crazy?" someone shouted. "That horse could kick you." But Clara was determined. "Just trust me," she said, her voice steady. She approached Black Shadow slowly, speaking softly. "Easy there, buddy. It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The stallion's eyes flickered toward her, and for a moment, Clara could see the fear behind his wildness. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a sugar cube, extending her hand toward the horse. "Come on, big guy. Just a little treat," she coaxed. With cautious steps, Black Shadow approached, sniffing the air. Clara held her breath as the stallion nibbled the sugar cube from her hand. Gradually, she began to soothe him with her voice, moving closer as he calmed down. "See, you're okay," she murmured, her heart pounding. "You're safe now." With a few more gentle words and the promise of another sugar cube, Clara was able to reach out and stroke Black Shadow's neck. The crowd watched in awe as the once furious stallion began to relax under her touch. Jake, still recovering from his fall, stepped closer. "How did you do that?" he asked, his eyes wide. "I just listened to him," Clara replied, her voice steady. "Sometimes they just need a friend." The crowd erupted into applause, and Clara felt a swell of pride. She had faced her fears and helped a creature in distress. Black Shadow nickered softly, and Clara smiled, knowing she had made a difference. Chapter 5. The Grand Finale. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow across the rodeo grounds, Clara prepared for the final event, the championship bull riding. She had watched in awe as the bravest riders mounted the massive bulls, holding on for dear life while the animals bucked and twisted. Clara had never attempted anything like it, but the thrill of the competition fueled her spirit. Are you sure about this, Clara? Billy asked, concern etched on his face. It's dangerous. I have to try, Billy, she replied, her eyes sparkling with determination. This is my chance. Her heart raced as she climbed onto the wooden pen where the bulls were kept. A massive black bull named Thunder stood before her, snorting and pawing at the ground. Clara took a deep breath, remembering the words of her mother. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what you believe in, even if you're scared. With a swift motion, Clara mounted the bull, gripping the rope tightly. The crowd fell silent, anticipation hanging in the air. Clara could feel the power of Thunder beneath her, and for a moment, time stood still. Hold on tight, the announcer shouted. This is it, folks. Clara Mae Johnson, the girl who tamed Black Shadow, is ready to ride. With a burst of energy, Thunder surged forward, bucking wildly. Clara's heart raced as she fought to maintain her grip, her body bouncing with the rhythm of the bull. The crowd roared and Clara's focus sharpened. She remembered her training, her instincts kicking in as she shifted her weight to stay balanced. Come on, Clara. You can do it. Billy shouted from the sidelines, his voice a beacon of encouragement. The seconds felt like hours as Clara rode, each twist and turn testing her resolve. Thunder bucked fiercely, but Clara held on, determination fueling her every move. With one final, powerful leap, Thunder threw her off, and Clara landed in a roll, coming to her feet unscathed. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Clara beamed with pride. She had survived the ride, and more importantly, she had faced her fears head-on. As she walked back to her friends, the announcer's voice echoed through the arena. And there you have it, folks. Clara Mae Johnson shows us what true courage looks like. As the final event came to a close, Clara stood with her friends, her heart full of joy. She hadn't won the championship, but she had faced challenges that had tested her courage and resilience. The experience had been more rewarding than any shiny belt buckle. Chapter 6, A Lesson Learned. As the rodeo wound down and the sun set, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold, Clara felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. She had made new friends, faced her fears, and learned that true courage came from within. That evening, as she and Billy sat around the campfire, Clara reflected on her journey. I may not have won the championship, but I feel like I've won something even more important, she said, gazing into the flames. Billy smiled. You showed everyone that it's not just about winning. It's about having the guts to try and helping others along the way. Clara nodded, knowing he was right. The friendship she had forged, the horse she had calmed, and the thrill of the ride, all of it made her heart swell with pride. She looked up at the starlit sky, feeling grateful for the adventure and the lessons learned. As they packed up for the night, Clara slipped her silver star pendant around her neck, a reminder of her mother's words and the courage she had discovered within herself. The journey had only just begun, and Clara Mae Johnson was ready for whatever adventures awaited her next. Chapter 7, A New Beginning. Weeks passed after the rodeo, and the stories of Clara's bravery spread like wildfire throughout Dusty Hollow. Inspired by her determination, the townsfolk began to speak of their own dreams and aspirations. Clara found herself at the forefront of a new movement, a desire to embrace adventure, to face challenges, and to support one another. One day, while helping Old Man Jenkins at the blacksmith shop, Clara had a brilliant idea. What if we held our own rodeo here in Dusty Hollow? She asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Old Man Jenkins stroked his beard thoughtfully. That could be something special, Clara. You could teach others what you've learned and inspire them to face their fears. With that spark of inspiration, Clara began organizing the Dusty Hollow Rodeo. She gathered friends, family, and fellow competitors, sharing her vision of a community event that celebrated courage and camaraderie. Clara's energy was contagious, and soon, the entire town rallied behind her. On the day of the rodeo, Dusty Hollow transformed into a vibrant celebration. Colorful banners fluttered in the breeze, and laughter filled the air as families gathered to watch the competitions. Clara felt a sense of pride swell in her chest as she took in the scene around her. As the events unfolded, Clara watched as young riders took their first attempts at barrel racing and roping. Their faces lit up with excitement and a hint of nervousness. The joy in the air was palpable, reminding Clara of her own journey. When it came time for the final event, Clara took center stage, ready to share her story with the crowd. Thank you all for being here today. Remember, it's not just about winning. It's about having the courage to try and helping each other along the way. The cheers erupted, and Clara felt a warmth spread through her heart. She had not only found her own adventure, but had sparked a sense of adventure in her community as well. As the sun set once more over Dusty Hollow, Clara looked around at her friends and family, feeling a deep sense of belonging and purpose. The lessons she had learned, the friendships she had forged, and the spirit of adventure would forever be a part of her. And in that moment, beneath the vast starlit sky, Clara Mae Johnson knew that her journey was just beginning. With a heart full of courage and a spirit ready for adventure, she was ready to embrace whatever came next in the Wild West.